Far Cry 6 has been out for almost 2 months now. Is it as good as Far Cry 3? Well, it's got all the ingredients. It's got a fantastic villain, a luscious tropical island, and plenty to shoot at. Well, let's find out in my review. What's up guys, welcome to another That Freaking Geek review. And today we'll be talking about the latest Far Cry 6. And well, what do I think of it? Well, let's get into this review. And basically, I loved it. Just in summary, just an introduction right there up front, I loved my playtime in it. And it was quite a chunky playtime at that. Over 50 hours did I spend in Yara, and it was worth every minute. I loved it. I love the Far Cry series, and I do think this is probably one of the best Far Cries we've had in years. Purely gameplay. Story, but let's get into it. Starting off with, what was the story all about? You play as one of the Resistance fighters on the beautiful island that is Yara. This country, this island nation, is ruled by a terrible dictator, El Presidente Anton, and he wants nothing more but to make sure that the island returns to a paradise. But instead of doing it the more, nice way, instead he's ruling with an iron fist, forcing his people to work in the fields, in the farms, to produce a drug that is the cure for cancer, and he's not sharing it with anyone else. He wants to get to the point where he can both help his nation and help the rest of the world. And how he's going to do that is that he's going to take advantage of his people, and his people are not having it. Hence the Resistance. And you play as one of the Resistance fighters, and you can either play as a male or a female. The island is split up into 3 regions, each offering their own villains, but the problem with these villains is that they're underused, and therefore become very forgettable. Some of them are interesting, but nothing compares to the villains that have come before. Instead, a lot of it is very much on El Presidente himself, onto Anton, and even him, who is played by a fantastic actor. Unfortunately, the acting can take you so far when at the end of the day you just get some cutscenes, and they feel very disjointed, very disconnected to the main story, considering that you can take on the villains at different moments, and when you do, it affects obviously how Anton is running his country. But because of how fact that you can take them on in different stages, they feel very disconnected and they don't feel quite to the main story. And you only really have an encounter with him once before you encounter him at the end. Overall, I do find the story quite disappointing, especially given the ending, but you have to play that for yourself to see if you agree with me or not. The third person cutscenes is what really makes me feel like I don't like it. It's because in other Far Cry games, you kind of go into the scene and it's quite organic. You watch all the cutscenes from this first person view, but this time they takes you to this third person cut, and while they're trying to go for this like movie blockbuster feel, unfortunately I don't think it works. It's enjoyable enough, don't get me wrong, but as a Far Cry game, it's very disconnecting when it happens, and it even more so happens especially in the gameplay. And what I mean by that is that when you enter your camps, it goes from first person to third person. I have no idea why they want to do that. It's probably because they want to show off the equipment that you have on. I don't know, I don't like it, but it's very takes you straight out of the game when that happens. I'm sure they have a good reason why they did it, but from what I can see, it's just very disconnecting. But you know what, let's get into the actual gameplay. Like, listen, when you're in the first person, when you're shooting at guards, it is Far Cry goodness. It is so much fun to run around with your various weapons, shooting the guards, and some of the last few ones, it's been a little bit harder to kill guards, but nope, the classic shooting is back in terms of you get a headshot, you took down that guard, especially when you have armor piercing rounds. For me, classic way to go in is with a bow and arrow, take out some in the beginning, then take that sniper and sniper them from the rest. I love doing the stealth option in Far Cry, it is my favorite. Or if you want to go guns blazing, you have your absolute blast when you get to do that, whether it's taking an AK-47, shooting down people, maybe you're taking a huge rocket launcher and shooting down the big vehicles. I don't know what your vibe is, but when you go guns blazing, it is a heck of a lot of fun. And when you go stealth, it is also really satisfying. And so whatever your playstyle is, Far Cry is back when it comes to that. And so because of that, that's probably why I give it so much praise, because the gameplay itself is reason enough to go, yep, this Far Cry is fantastic. The buddy system is back, and what I mean by that is that you get animals, like in the previous games, that come on your journey if you choose so. You get a little sausage dog that is absolutely adorable, or you get a crocodile that is also equally adorable in its own way. They are called amigos this time. I didn't really use it, and so I can't give much opinion about the amigos, but if you enjoy that kind of thing, fantastic. I personally think that when you use amigos, they're kind of stealing my kills, and I'm just the person who just loves to just do it all myself. And so they're fantastic, they're a lot of fun, they're adorable. Hey, if that's your thing, that is. One of the new things that they've added to Far Cry is the Supremos. Is that it's these, like, I'm probably saying it wrong, it's these backpacks. And these backpacks can be filled with different gadgets, and they also allow you to do different things. A backpack that shoots rockets and at the helicopters, for example, or for me, the one that I kept on going back to, and once again, kind of like the amigos, didn't really use them that much. It's a nice gameplay feature, but I didn't keep going back to it. But the one I kept on using was the one that allowed me to double jump, and so I love double jumping in any video game, and so then actually I kept the backpack that let me do that. And it also just kind of put flames all around me, which was quite cool, but I didn't really use it that much. I do think that they're a nice add, but yeah, I didn't use it that much. In previous Far Cry games, the more you defeated camps, the more that you killed enemies, the more that you did missions, the more experience you got, and used that experience to then purchase perks in different types of games. So maybe you can do double stabbing, or maybe you can do a jump stab. I love all the stabbing elements, and they're all here. The thing is that a lot of that is kind of in it, like you already have it going from the get-go, and all the extra stuff, the extra perks, is actually through the clothing that you collect, and then you've got to put on said different parts of clothing. It's kind of like the last Assassin's Creed. Is it good? It's okay, it's not great. The problem with the whole customization thing is that there's a lot of times that in the moment, like especially when it comes to weapons, there'd be a helicopter that randomly comes. You can actually pause the game, go into your weapon wheel, change your AK-47 to maybe a rocket launcher so that you can shoot down. It's quite like oh, you know what, doesn't actually matter what weapons you have because you can always change it. And so it kind of feels like with the weapons you have, like you have all of them. It's kind of like GTA, you just have all the weapons, which is okay, I guess, but at the same time it's quite like jarring to go into the menu, change the weapon you want, and then go out and shoot the helicopter. The problem is that those helicopters, and there's even tanks, they're very powerful, so you need to have a rocket launcher. So if you're not carrying one, it would be quite difficult to take them down. So I guess that's why Far Cry kind of left it in. But it's quite jarring. The perk system with the clothing is kind of weird, doesn't work that well. I don't like the customization. I think they should go back to perk points. But hey, you know what, you just gotta test it for yourself to see what your opinion about it is. But the absolute highlight of the game has to be the gorgeous visuals. Yara is a fantastic island. It is lush. It is so detailed and so beautiful. The amount of times I just stopped to look at the view, to take some pictures. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen all my screenshots. I loved it. I think most of my hours probably came out of just sitting in the screenshot mode, in the photo mode. It is gorgeous. It is an absolutely gorgeous game, and like I said in the beginning, it's split up into 3 regions, each offering their own kind of biomes, from a very lush jungle to a very swampy moss-like rivered, like it's like very detailed in the way that how they're quite varied. And on top of all that, there is plenty to do around the island. Of course, you get the camps, those are classic. There are also these treasure hunts where you can kind of go to a location and will kind of start this like side quest where you kind of collect small things, or you unlock a kind of a puzzle part of it. Like, it is a lot of fun exploring all that. Like, I'm the person that has to play every side quest, every little thing before he goes on to do the main quest, and so that's why it took me so long to play the game, because I literally went through everything. It was such a joy running around Far Cry, or wing gliding through Far Cry, or even just riding on your car in Far Cry. There's even a car, and spoiler alert, that goes from car into plane mode. It is like, have you ever played a game where you're like, I just wish I could fly right now? And there is a car that literally does that. It is one of the weirdest, most joyful feeling when you get to do something like that. And yeah, that is it. The world itself, that is what makes Far Cry so fantastic. From the gameplay, the shooting, doing a fantastic job, to the beautiful world. Unfortunately, the story, Anton, as much as he's played by a fantastic actor, I do think that he was underutilized, and the ending with him was very unsatisfying. Overall, a fantastic game. just, yeah, don't expect much from the story. But that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this Far Cry 6 review. Overall, I do recommend it. I give it a 9 out of 10, which is really, really highly recommended. If the story was any better, it probably wouldn't have gone a lot higher. But at the end of the day, you're playing a game because you want to have fun, and this game has oodles of fun, and that for me is way more important. And so, I do really recommend playing Far Cry 6.
You and I both know you want this. For a guerrilla, the shit my pants rush of an ambush, the taste of sweet victory after you freed your people from tyrants. It's
It's fun.